What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Our Brains Hurts. Thanks so much for hanging out. We have a couple of shows coming up this summer and into the fall. July 6th at the Pie Shop, we are hosting Diesel Boy with American Television, Over Our Eyes, and 40 Reps. That's July 6th at the Pie Shop in DC. It's a Saturday. Get your tickets. Come hang out. 2 weeks after that, on July 24th, also in DC at Atlas Brewworks, we are hosting the Dolly Rots with Soraya and DC's very own Curse Words. We're also doing a show at the Pie Shop on August 24th. More details to come on that. And on September 21st, Our Brains Hurt is releasing our very own oatmeal coffee stout beer. And we are having a party and release show at True Vale Brewery in Haymarket, Virginia. That's Saturday, September 21st. Mark it on your calendar. Save the date. It's going to be awesome. Come get drunk with us and watch some bands. Now, let's get to the show.
Well, they needed a jingle for their stupid little show, so they called up the Jasons and we said, fuck no. Then they called us again and they gave us $20 and we wrote them a song that said, your podcast sucks. Then they gave us more money and they asked us really nice and we finally gave in and we said, alright, I'll write you a song, but it's gonna be a clone of a Screeching Weasel song that we heard a while ago. So we wrote them a jingle and it sounded really rad. It was the best little jingle that their podcast ever had, but the file got corrupted and the email didn't work. Now they're stuck without a jingle singing Our Brains Hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. In a very non-copyright infringing sort of way.
Fuck. It's been a crazy week, dude. I've done so much this week.
Yeah.
Barry sent me a picture he took of that big, like, in Key West they have that big, I don't know, it looks like a buoy, but this is like southernmost point of the United States.
Oh yeah.
He's like, yeah, man, I'm here right now, and he sent me a picture. He's like, I'm still good to go. I was like, all right.
Cool.
So yeah, we had our third or fourth practice this week, the blanks.
How's that work?
It's going really well.
Oh, good.
The three of us gel. Right. I thank you so much for turning me on to Justin and saying like he's looking for somebody, because this is like exactly what I needed.
I told you he's like he's an asset to a fucking band. Like the dude,
the songs he writes, it's almost as if he's like knows exactly how I play bass. I had to go to the doctor today. I get bit by a tick, and the rash is fucking gnarly.
Oh, what do you know? Do you know what the tick looked like?
No, everybody keeps telling me that. It's like it's a fucking tick. I don't know. They have different, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He wasn't bald. He was smiling.
Like, well, was there like a white dot on its back? Do you know?
My wife said it was the one that can carry Lyme disease.
Oh, if it's that's a deer tick. That's not the one. The one with the white dot on its back is a Lone Star tick. Those are the ones that can make you allergic to red meat. Yeah,
I had meat today, like and I was okay. Yeah,
it's an enzyme that. But gotcha. you should be fine. So I don't know where it was, but like generally, in order to contract stuff from a tick, that tick's got to be latched onto you for like a solid amount of time.
Yeah, this one wasn't. This one. So what happens is they come in on my dogs.
Oh yeah.
But my dogs are medicated, so they die. So this tick latched into me and then died because he was skinny as shit. He didn't suck any blood from me.
He should be fine.
So it's just the rash, the bite itself, I think, got infected.
I mean,
so they gave me some cream and an antibiotic.
Oh,
whatever.
I mean, like, how big is the rash? Is it over like a solid amount of area?
Maybe like 2 inches long and like a half an inch wide.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, it's right on my fucking crotch where my leg meets my fucking balls.
Yeah, that sucks, and they like the warm spots. No, you're fine. Those tick bites itch like a motherfucker for like a week.
Yeah, that's what it's just. All it does is itch. I have no fever or anything like that. Like,
no, you never would, even if you got Lyme disease. It's not like a tick bites you and then you immediately get Lyme disease and and then like you just go get medicine to make it go away. That's just not how Lyme disease works.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Lyme disease has actually been linked to stuff like, and this is gonna sound weird at first, but like a lot of neurological disorders, fucking syphilis is in the same family. there was a lot of research done on Lyme disease 10, 15 years ago, that was like getting shut down. Like government agencies were coming and they were like stripping doctors of their fucking licenses and shit.
Oh,
And
really?
oh yeah, dude. Lyme disease
Wow.
is 100% a manufactured fucking disease from a lab that
I believe it.
escaped, and the U.S. has been trying to cover it up for years.
Oh, Barry's on. Yeah.
Oh well, then yeah. Well, I'll have to
We'll,
talk.
we'll continue. We'll
Yeah,
continue. We'll talk to
yeah,
Barry about it.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, tonight we're talking to Barry Ward of RKL. We didn't even introduce him yet.
No, we didn't.
There we
Even, well, he's here. We can do it now. Hey, what's up?
How's it going?
Who are you guys and what do you want?
How's Key West?
It's pretty good. Check it out. I'm here with my lovely Lily. Say hi.
Hey guys.
Hey, what's
Hey.
going on?
What's up?
Sun just went down.
Nice.
I've never been to Key West before, and it's a pretty amazing place. We're right by the equator. Beautiful weather, beautiful people, beautiful cocktails.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, it's green.
Yeah. How you guys doing?
Good, good. How was punk rock bowling?
It was pretty outrageous. The place we played had amazing sound. It could have been a little bit bigger.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Sand Dollar downtown, some swanky place in the Plaza Hotel where apparently the Rolling Stones have played and Muddy Waters played at some point, sometime. But it was
Nice.
cool. It was a little different for us. Cool. We're
Nice.
used to rolling in the trenches. But yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I saw some video of it. Looked cool.
We like to ask people like how they originally got into punk rock. Like, so where did you grow up? How did you get into punk rock? And what were kind of the first couple of bands that made you fall in love with punk rock?
Man, it's pretty funny because I was walking through the Golden Nugget with Lily the other night, and there's Joe Castell from Devo sitting there, and I got the privilege of talking to him for a second, and I told him what I've told everybody else, that Devo was our Beatles on Ed Sullivan moment, because I was in the one house where my teenage friends where the parents were absent that we could always party at, and it was Saturday Night Live came on, and there's Devo, and it just blew our fucking minds. Like, there was rumblings of punk rock at the time,
Mhm.
but Devo kind of changed it for us. I think somebody already had a couple of Ramones records, Ramones, the Talking Heads, and somebody else. But Devo came on SNL, and then we were sold. And Devo wasn't hardcore necessarily, but they were definitely punk for the day. And that's basically how it happened. And I remember I was living in Chicago at the time, and I had a friend who stole a car and brought us little kids with him to a punk show in downtown Chicago. It was your classic late 70s punk show with the new wave, all the dyed hair and people spitting on each other, and the weird glasses and all that kind of stuff, and the safety pins in the nose and all that kind of stuff. And I was a terrified 14-year-old at the time. But okay, is this really what punk is? I don't really want to get spit on.
But I don't want hepatitis.
Yeah. And so all of our rock records went in the garage sale, and we were sold on punk, and scared the shit out of my mom, of course. Later on, I moved to Texas, and that's when I was hanging out with all the DRI people, and working at a radio station called KPFT, and I got to meet some of the punk stars who come down to stars, if you can call them, came down to our radio station, and we all got mange cuts and everything. Really scared the hell out of my parents. But Texas hardcore came around. I was into punk, of course, but when hardcore came around, then I was definitely sold.
Mhm.
And here I am.
When did you make it out to California?
That's right. That was an acknowledgement from the cosmos, or that was a gigantic boat fart. Who knows?
When did you make it out to California?
I moved to California when I was 19.
Okay.
I was part of the Texas wave of bands that went to San Francisco. Much to my parents' dismay. You'll be back. Of course, they never went back.
Yeah.
They never went back to live with my parents ever again. And later on, they acknowledged that, yeah, I found my path, and it was not necessarily the best education, the school of hard knocks, but I did traverse around the world and do things that most people don't really get to do.
Yeah.
So I have no regrets in that way. And I did go back to college for a while and do this and that, but punk rock was my calling then, as it is now.
Mhm.
It's just funny, like being here right now, playing, and now like MDC, who I knew way back when. I had a shitty punk band that opened for them in Houston, and I've known Dave since 1982, and then I ended up playing with MDC decades later. They asked me to play with them in 1984, I was like, nah, you guys are crazy. You guys are older and crazy. And I wasn't really quite used to touring like they did. And then I ended up joining RKL, which is obviously the best decision a man could make.
Hell yeah.
I lucked out, right time in the right place. And then years later, we miraculously got back together, and it's kind of amazing because not only are they my greatest friends in the world, and we went through a lot together, but we're getting this adoration I've never seen before right now, right in this time and place.
Mhm.
And it's kind of amazing. I'm really even a little baffled by it sometimes. I know we meant something to some people because we were like the underdog band. We're the band that never made any money. And we broke up way too early. And we had all
Yep.
kinds of ridiculous drama and things that happened that
Yeah.
was rather unfortunate. But some of us survived, and here we are. And I think as older statesmen of punk rock, we're even playing better than we ever did way back when.
Yeah.
And know not to make some of the same mistakes. And luckily, there's no junkies in the band right now. So, I mean, it's never too late to be a junkie, but I don't really recommend it.
I think you guys were just ahead of your time. Like RKL translates in 2024 really, really well.
I believe so. Yeah. But there's
Yeah.
also this new generation of kids that love the kind of music.
Mm-hmm.
Like NBC did a tour a few years ago with the Dead Kennedys, the foul Dead Kennedys, when the COVID reopening happened, and it was amazing just because the audience they're all young, they're all in their 20s or early 30s for the most part, going crazy over the songs.
Mhm.
I mean, they didn't even know who Jello is, quite
Right.
honestly. So it didn't matter to them, you know.
Yeah.
And I think we gave the Dead Kennedys a run for their money, keeping it hardcore, but they love it faster and louder and political and everything.
Mhm.
And it's nice to be appreciated. I don't know if they're really listening to the lyrics, but who knows? What are you going to say to anybody anymore anyway? Everything's fucked.
I know. I know I got into you guys like hardcore probably in the past 2 or 3 years. And I think as a huge NoFX fan, yeah, I'm a huge NoFX fan. I know that Fat Mike has said many times that RKL was a huge influence on him. So I think that's what kind of made me kind of go back to you guys and find you guys and be like, this is the greatest fucking punk band of all time. We talked to Joe. When did we talk to Joe? About a year and a couple months ago?
Year ago, I think. Yeah.
And he didn't hint to anything about you guys getting back together. But after we talked to Joe, I became an even bigger RKL fan. And then you guys got back together and like our heads were blown. I flew out to LA to see you guys. I was at the LA show last month, or was it last month? Yeah. No, earlier this month. Yeah. Where Tony drank from the boot. He drank beer out of that fucking
prosthetic leg.
Yeah, the leg. He got a leg up on the situation there. Well, my girlfriend Lily here used to live in Seattle. She said there was a guy that had a missing leg, and he would throw his leg on stage as a in Nebraska. He would throw his leg on stage in appreciation of the band. Like if you like the band, then his leg ended up on stage.
Maybe that was him. Maybe it was him.
I was like against the stage right in front of Joe, and the leg flew over my head and landed on the stage. And Tony like chugged the beer, and Tony like hands me the leg, and so I just put the leg in front of me, and then all of a sudden I get a tap on my shoulder like after the song was over, and some guy was like, "Hey man, can I get my leg back?" I was like, "Is it your leg?" He's like, "I'm missing mine." I was like, "All right, here you go."
Yeah, Tony said later his mouth is numb from that.
That's so it was so gnarly. I was like,
yeah. There's actually a picture of him doing it on his Instagram page now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's a great picture too. Like the side angle of the leg. Yeah.
So how did you guys audition a bunch of singers, and how did you end up with Tony? He's an awesome addition, by the way.
No, not at all. Well, Tony did a COVID video with those guys. I wasn't part of that, doing Sargasm, and then NBC opened for Municipal Waste at Punk Rock Bowling a couple years ago. We played on a big side stage, and and I met Tony before when he was in Iron Reagan, and he mentioned about doing another video. I'm like, oh hell yeah! And then Dave Ron said, hey man, you want to do another video? I'm like, sure, I'll do whatever. If people start gigging again, there wasn't much more talk about it. Then there was rumblings about playing a couple of shows with Tony, and then it just kind of sort of manifested itself into what it is, and we're all loving it. I'm having a blast for sure. And those songs, at first it took a minute but then I realized, man, those songs are so deeply embedded in my memory, in my soul, that this came like nothing to get back to playing those songs and playing them probably better than ever. And Chris even threw me a couple solos. I was like, okay, if you want, and I think I pulled them off. It's hard to play solos quite as shreddy as Chris Rest, but I could try.
Yeah.
Did you have like the like previous like metal background at all? Because he obviously does. And was that something that you had to like get into or learn from?
Well, not necessarily, but I pretty much have been into metal ever since. I used to hang out at the Ruthie's Inn scene and the East Bay scene, like Murder in the Front Row. Have you seen that movie? RKL used to play those shows. So we played with Forbidden and we played with Exodus and all the metal bands that played Ruthie's, and metal was a part of the Bay Area scene. Mm-hmm. And the On Broadway and the Mabue and the Stone and early Metallica days and early Slayer days and stuff like that. So I love that music, and I always love aggressive guitar heavy music. So essentially I've been into the metal scene for a long time. And I did end up joining Guar as a hired gun in 1991.
Oh wow.
Doing the ball sack part.
What?
That's like Ron's other all-time favorite.
Mike having a baby. Yeah. Ballsack was having a baby and they needed a fill-in, and I was good friends with them, so I did that gig. So I played 30 shows with Guar. So that's pretty fucking metal, I believe.
That's very fucking metal, yeah.
And I never had like a real metal band per se, but I wouldn't mind it. In fact, I'm probably even more ready for it now than ever. Mm-hmm. But I never really thought as being metal or punk. It's just kind of what we do. It's pretty funny. Like the very first review that RKL ever got was for A Beautiful Feeling from Maximum Rock and Roll. And Tim Yohannan wrote, and I quote, "I see a very distinct metal garage influence. I choose not to hear it." He misspelled the word guitar and it said garage. So to this day, we're always laughing like we have this huge metal garage influence. So as a metal garagist, I approve.
So how did you end up in RKL? Like at your very first, like how did you end up with them?
I was hanging out with the Vats, when we're all hanging out there. Tons of bands were there, and we heard about this band that was huffing white out in the basement to get high. We're like, what? White out? The liquid paper stuff? Like, yeah, they're huffing it in paper bags to get stoned. Okay, and they're also playing the Mabue tonight. Like, all right, let's go. And it was RKL. And they were amazing. And then there was just talk about how they might need a bass player. Maybe not. Maybe they did. And then I went to Europe, and then I came back and then ended up auditioning for them and got the part. And then on bass, I still have a tape of that audition too. And then they said that Vince was going to come back and play bass and I should play second guitar. Mm-hmm. So sure. So I was playing second guitar. But I was working at a recording studio in San Francisco, and I didn't really quite know where my place was. Whatever, it's going to work out, whatever. I didn't want to push it. I love the guys, but who knows? Don't take anything for granted. Yeah. And I already been kicked out of bands. And I was like, okay, I don't want to blow this one. Well, I got kicked out of DRI, by the way. I was in DRI for a bit too.
Oh, really?
I played 14 songs on a demo and 2 shows, and I got my ass booted. But the demo's out there. It's on there's a couple singles. There's a couple songs on a couple DRI comps, and there might be a record coming out on the Punk Museum label. 14 songs that I played bass on. Anyway, so I'd been booted out of DRI. Mm-hmm. I was in RKL, and we were doing the Keep Laughing songs, but they were going back to Santa Barbara, possibly to make a record, maybe not. I was like, well, it'd be cool if you want me to come down and play. Cool. If not, not worried about it. I kind of didn't think they were going to stay in San Francisco, perhaps. Mm-hmm. But they ended up making the record, and they were kind of ping-ponging between Santa Barbara and San Francisco. And when they come around, I jam with them. And then we just started keeping it going and jamming. We did that tour in 86, and then we made the Rock and Roll Nightmare record. And history was made.
Fuck yeah. And
boy, we paid our dues, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I don't know what you're allowed to talk about as far as the future of RKL, but we have to ask because we're huge fans. Is there a record? Is there any new recordings in the future? Or
there's stuff recorded. I know that. I heard a new version of Tribute to the Jester on your guys' Instagram page without vocals, so I know this shit recorded.
I don't know about that. I'd certainly love to,
Yeah.
My songwriting has matured
Yeah.
quite a bit since the Riches of Rags record. We all love doing it. I've put that idea out into the forefront. Everybody's really busy. You know, of course they have Lagwagon and Municipal Waste,
Right.
all amazing acts, and they're busy acts. So time willing, I believe we're all ready to do a new record. I certainly am. We'll just see what kind of things happen as it comes along. You're probably about the 20th person that's asked me that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
So all I can say is all I can say really is I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet it'd be hot as shit.
Oh, hell yeah.
I bet it'd be an ass burning motherfucking hot shit RKL record.
Yeah.
I bet we probably get some labels that would love to put it out.
Hell yeah.
But I can't. I speak for myself, so we'll see. We'll see.
What about coming out the East Coast to play? Any extended tours?
We need to do the East Coast bad because
Yeah.
we always fail. We go on tour, then we just like fall apart by the time we got to the East Coast.
Yeah.
You know, it's not sustainable touring with drug addicts. It's like Jason or Bomber, which like something would happen. Like, oh, we're not gonna make it. Oh well.
Right.
So, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure all of us are on board for that. No,
Yeah.
I think we're just taking a few minutes to rest. Then I believe we're gonna start talking about more shows. I don't really know in particular what, but the general consensus is let's keep doing this.
Yeah.
We're probably talking about doing maybe a West Coast run sooner because it'd be a little easier for us. But until then, I'd love to talk about any shows anywhere. Honestly.
Will you guys be playing? So I'm flying out with my brother to go see NoFX's final show in October. Are you guys on that by any chance? Because there's still mystery bands that haven't been announced.
Oh,
you don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me.
I know. Well, as of now, no. I'll be
Okay.
honest with you. I was pushing for that. I was like, let's get on those PID shows. And I know Lagwang is playing with them, or they already did. And I don't really know what the story is there, but I certainly want to play.
Yeah.
That's in October.
Yeah.
I know they're playing in Portland in July, so I'll probably go to that show.
Yeah.
But I'm fairly sure that Fat Mike would probably be. I think he likes us. You think?
Oh, he loves it.
Yeah,
I mean,
a little bit.
Maybe they're a little scared of us. We'll see.
They don't want to be.
Right.
What was it like working with Bomber? He passed away before I got into RKL, but I for some reason, whenever I think of Bomber, I think of Bill Stevenson because he's a drummer and he's a writer and all that stuff. But I could be way off. But
oh yeah.
He's also an incredible vocalist.
He was an incredible vocalist. He was he's better drummer than vocalist.
Yeah.
He was a philosopher. He was a cook. He was a crazy man. He was a drug addict. He was in the closet gay person. He was a fantastic drummer. He was a great bass player. He was a little bit of everything. He was definitely a Renaissance man of punk. He was definitely, if anything, he was just more motivated to play music than anybody else I've ever known. Like, all right, let's practice. I'm like, did we just practice for 5 hours today? I'm exhausted. No, come on, you got to check this out. He would just go and just play for hours and hours. That's all he did. He taught me how to play. And because I thought I was a pretty good player, and I played in a couple of pretty good acts, but we're playing. He's like, no, you got that wrong. Play like this. I'm like, no, man, I'm pretty sure I got this right. No, you got it wrong. Yeah, right. He's just like, no, it's like this. And then he's like, dig into it, that millisecond, those notes or the between the notes spaces, the spaces between the notes. And he would just drive that point home until finally I sort of got it. I was just kind of like, okay, I see. Is this precision playing beyond the one and the point millisecond of the one where we were just tight as fuck.
Yeah.
And then we'd be practicing and he's like, I'm so sick of you fuckers looking at your fingers. I'm turning off the lights. So we play in the dark.
Oh, really?
He can play drums in the dark.
Yeah.
And we're like, fuck. So now we got to learn how to play without looking at our fingers. Yeah, he was a slave driver, but it was great because he taught us how to play. And he was also a bully, and he would just torture us in a lot of different ways. So it was, we paid our dues that way too.
Yeah.
But I miss him dearly, and he was definitely a character, and he tapped into the cosmos of music in one way or another, because he definitely I think he would just dream up, like Paul McCartney said something about, I just wake up and a song come to me. That's how he doesn't even know where it comes from. Has no fucking idea where it comes from. It just kind of comes. And Bomber was the same way. He was just like, check this out. I just came up with it, and it's some mind blowing riff. I'm like, well, whoa, you just blew my mind again. So yeah.
I've had a few friends over the years that have been like dream writers too, like dream a song and then basically put it on paper. I never really understood it Actually, it happened to be recently for the first time, and I was like, I woke up being like, weird. So that's how this is.
I do it quite a bit. I write more lyrics than I do music because I'm kind of a lyricist and a wordsmith of sorts, and which is great, but I need to get more of my wake up to that awesome guitar riff. I'm still trying to write that perfect 3-chord funk song. Can't do it.
Yeah.
That's been one of the things. Like we play a lot of songs that your average person can't quite interpret, except for our diehard fans. But so we're definitely not like Green Day. But
No.
we can try. I mean, there's a million great 3-chord songs. They're just mind blowing. And the simpler it is, the better. The more simplistic it is, then the more palatable it is for the masses as well. But RKL is what it is. We like it riffy and guitar heavy, drums and bass heavy. Yeah, it's a myriad of different styles molded into one giant musical octopus.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I don't like about RKL is that I'm in a band and I would never be able to cover an RKL. I'm a bass player, and I'll never be able to cover an RKL song because there's no fun.
There is an RKL tribute record with about 20 bands playing RKL songs, including my old band Cross Steps. We're on there. We did Pothead.
Nice.
And I played a theremin on it. So I played the lead on a theremin on an RKL song, on an RKL cover. But some bands did it really good. Yeah. It's pretty funny though. Sometimes, like, we're the band that now we have these people that are on YouTube trying to. This is how you play bass for this song or that song, and I look at them going, either to relearn those songs myself, or I'm looking at it going, well, you're playing it wrong. But I'm not the guy making my own little YouTube videos on how to play RKL songs.
Yeah.
I'd rather write new songs.
I found that tribute record recently. Actually, I heard that it existed and I had to dig it up. It was kind of hard to dig it up even on the internet.
Yeah.
I found it. I have a question that I have to ask because I've heard other people in RKL's opinion on this record. Do you dislike Reactivate?
Yeah, it's not an RKL record.
Yeah, it was supposed to be slag, right?
Slang.
Or slang.
It was a slang record when Bomber wanted to sing and they're kind of doing funk.
I
only played on 3 songs that record. I wasn't even doing it. And they got back together doing that. They got signed to Epitaph and there was a little bit of money around. So I was like, all right, I got a little bit of time. And so we're doing slang. And it was that weird time where hardcore was essentially dead, or everybody thought it was dead. Nobody really knew what was going next. Nirvana kind of kicked everybody's ass. And hardcore wasn't necessarily dead, and no effects to their credit, man. They just stuck it out through all that, touring for years and years to nobody, but it paid off in the end in the early 90s when punk rock made a huge wave again. But no, that record was not an RKL record. And when Brett and Bomber decided to call it RKL, I thought it was a really bad idea.
Yeah, and I think that's a consensus amongst even like fans and stuff too.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just informed there's a storm coming. Whoa, it's a storm. It's a storm.
But would you like that record better if it was called Slang instead of RKL?
Yeah, I think everybody was a little bit kind of just disjointed at the time. If the ideas on that record were done as in, well, first off, the first thing I hated about that record was a couple RKL covers. I thought that was a really bad idea. Doing a couple of classic songs like Tribute to the Jester or Slower.
Yeah.
No, not a good idea.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I could deal with some of the funky stuff, but it wasn't really my thing either. I would have rather done death metal or something. Brutal metal. But and I appreciated Bomber's efforts to do what he did, but it just wasn't really my thing. I was just doing it at the time because I didn't really have much else to do, I guess.
Yeah.
I was going to film school and doing this and that, but I had a little bit of time. I did revisit it recently, kind of, and some of it's cool, I got Dave Brocky to do a little comedy skit on one of the songs.
Nice.
Awesome.
So that was kind of funny. And no, I don't know about that record. Honestly, it's just not my favorite record.
Yeah.
I guess I should maybe give it another chance. but not
I
really.
completely
I think all of us
understand.
kind of scoff at it, honestly.
I mean, again, that's the consensus of like most people I've ever talked about. I really like that record. But I also am like you. I guess I don't really consider it an RKL record because it's not really.
Because it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that style of music, so obviously I would like that record, but it seems weird to me the amount of hate that it gets, but whatever. I get
Right.
it. I get it. I'm just curious if all you guys all hate it.
Hate's a very strong word.
That is
Yeah.
true.
I think if it was not an RKL record, I wouldn't dislike it.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily even dislike it. I just think it's just kind of a little bump in the road of our career.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed just because I think we probably had at least 2 or 3 other classic records in us at the time, but we didn't make any money. Everything was rough. There was drug addictions and just uncertainty in the music industry, and we did get shit on a lot by promoters and record labels.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the most discouraging things is getting burned by record labels and getting treated unfairly. And then we would cancel shows, but then there would be promoters in San Francisco that would just book us for shows that we didn't even know were going on to get our name on the bill, to get a bunch of people there, then just say that we canceled.
Oh no
So that
way.
was unfair. It wasn't even us
Man,
being a
that's
flake.
fucked.
They're just exploiting us.
Yeah.
Exploiting us.
Damn. Yeah. That's
and finally, I had to call up a couple of people and say, "What the fuck? Don't put our name on a flyer unless we've confirmed something."
Yeah.
We didn't even talked about it.
Damn.
Yeah, that's fucked
Bunch
up.
of dicks. What do you want?
That's crazy.
Music industry.
Yeah.
It's a dirty, dirty, dirty business.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask you these questions that we ask everybody before you get dumped on by the rain. But okay, the first question is, if you were on death row, what would your final meal be?
I find a meal.
Yeah.
My girlfriend.
Okay, gotcha. Finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
Someone.
Yeah.
Finally. Thank you.
Yeah.
What's your favorite cereal?
Killer.
Killer? Cereal?
Cereal.
Oh, cereal
Oh,
killer.
there you go.
All right. So this is something they do now is if you die and you become cremated, they could take your ashes and form it into a vinyl record. So if you were going to have your ashes eternalized in a vinyl record, which album would you pick?
Out of my albums or somebody else's albums?
It doesn't matter. Any album. It has to be an album that exists. So any album.
Just a record of dark, moody, scary death music of some sort, I guess. Or maybe not. Maybe a record of something, a comedy record. I don't know, something goofy and funny with a lot of sound effects. That's a good idea because I believe this has been done before, right?
Hasn't it? It's a real thing.
Yeah, actually do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think we should all do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess one of your favorite records that you've ever done, I suppose, maybe Rock and Roll Nightmare. Rock and Roll Nightmare would be a good one.
Beautiful.
That's
or a
bad
best
choice.
of. I could make a best of my entire musical career of some sort.
Hell yeah.
And that could be my last record.
Last question is who is on your Mount Rushmore of punk rock? You get 5 people because you get a Crazy Horse too. So you get the 4 presidents and the Crazy Horse.
Oh, Mount Rushmore of punk rock.
Yeah.
And like people, not bands.
Yeah, what 5 people are you putting up there?
Beethoven.
Okay.
He was punk. He was
Yeah,
deaf.
he was.
Yeah.
And everybody hated him. He was drunk. He's a scoundrel.
Yeah.
Yep. True story.
Frank Zappa's really punk.
Yep.
He definitely went against the norms in a lot of ways. It's debatable who is the most important people of punk.
Mm-hmm.
Lyrically, I would definitely put Jello Biafra up there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell him I said that. You're supposed to, I'm supposed to make Jello uncomfortable because I've known Jello for a long time, and I've been the little kid who always said something stupid to him. He'd be like, "What the fuck?" So Jello would be up there. That leaves 2 more.
Yeah, 2 more.
Man, that's hard to say. Well, I probably said Vicious just because he scared the shit out of everybody, and that's what punk rock is supposed to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I have when punk rock went so bubblegum. It's not scary anymore. You're supposed to scare your fucking parents.
Yeah.
Aren't you? I know my parents were terrified.
Yeah.
My parents were fucking terrified. And it suited the purpose at the time.
Yep.
So Sid was scary.
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves one other. Who's another a punk rock icon? It doesn't necessarily have to be punk, but the punk ethos, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I might have to contemplate that since I only have one left. I might have to contemplate this and get back to you
Okay.
because I don't want to just throw this one out there. That's an important.
No,
one.
sleep on it.
Yeah.
Sleep on it and
Yeah,
hit
I'll
me
just
up on
sleep that one.
Instagram.
I'm gonna hold that one back, and I'll think about it, and I can send you an email, and I'll let you
Yeah.
know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Do it.
That's how I work anyway. I'm a big master procrastinator.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you about that if I do get back to you about that. I'll try to if I remember it.
I may know a little bit about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, Barry. Well, thanks so much.
It's been
We
a
talked to
pleasure.
Joe. We talked to Joe last year. We're talking to you now. I think we're gonna have Dave Ron on in 2 weeks, and Chris
Awesome.
Rest, I think, agreed to do it because I told him he was the last RKL member that we're trying to do an RKL summer this year. So you're
Oh, great.
yeah.
Yeah, great.
So
Yeah. Just I believe we have some good plans. We'll see. I can't wait.
awesome.
Can't wait to play for everybody again.
Neither can we.
Awesome, man. Well,
There's
look,
a storm
enjoy Key
coming in
West.
here.
There you go.
Look at that. All
Hey,
right.
look, I mean, it's kind of
and
clear.
if I get washed away, then you'll be the last person I can say
There you
hello
go. So,
world.
yeah.
Goodbye world.
Yeah, please don't.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Yeah,
not
we
to.
need you. We need you.
Yeah.
All right, Barry. Thanks so much.
It's been a great time.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Later.
Bye.